Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Indiana Jones and Fate of Atlantis. So we have played the middle section all the way to Atlantis with the Wits path and the team path. Now it's time to load back into this path.
Deep into my eyes.
And
For Pete's sake,
we're
I'm not
going
to hurt you.
We're going to take the fighting
Now
path.
hold still.
Now, I'm not gonna lie
You
here.
are a remarkable man,
There is a
Dr.
decent
Jones.
chance
You possess
that on
great
the fighting
strength of
path
character.
I'm going to have
You are
to
resourceful,
use the sucker punch
always eager to
quite
solve
a bit.
life's deepest puzzles. I could never
It would
follow
be
the thoughts of
nice
your
if I
maze
could
like mine.
go the full
So I
path
can't follow you
without
along the twisting path that leads to
without
Atlantis.
using sucker punch, which is the number 0 on the number pad. And see, they don't even really call it the fighting path here. They call it the action path,
I'd rather go into action by myself.
which once
Are you
again
absolutely sure?
just keeps you separate from Sophia, which
Yes, I'm sure. I want action.
I don't know how
Okay,
you.
if that's how you feel, I won't try to stop you.
I don't know how you explain this or criticize this, other than they just at LucasArts did not know how to write women. And let's think about this for a second. Steven Spielberg, are there any strong, well-written women characters? Sort of like the Indiana Jones movies, you kind of have some decently written characters, particularly thinking of the Ark of the Covenant character. She definitely is written strong. She's just not the main focus, and so she also kind of disappears in many scenes where she could have easily been in the movie more. Let's see, Temple of Doom. That female character in Temple of Doom is written very whiny, and never really gets an opportunity to turn it around until, no, pretty much never. Like, she is just this whiny, self-obsessed socialite character, so she's not particularly well written. She's just a walking parody. And then, let's see, The Last Crusade. I mean, the only female character is the Nazi girl, who's not well written either, because she fails to really make it feel like you care about her, even as she is dying at the end of the movie. If you jump over to the Star Wars series, pretty much you can say no. Like episode 1 all the way through episode 9. I think you can just pretty well say that none of the female characters in those series are particularly well written or given a lot of screen time or characterization. You could arguably say that Ahsoka from the Clone Wars cartoon is decently written, but when you run the numbers there, and even if you exclude all the aliens, which you kind of can easily assume that every single alien that shows up in Star Wars is also a male alien for the most part, the number of females in the Star Wars universe is incredibly small. You're probably talking 20-1 or higher ratios. So yeah. And then if you were to think about the Ron Gilbert series of LucasArts Scum games, or Sam & Max, not a great example. There's really no female characters in the Sam & Max series. Monkey Island, there is the one female interest in the Monkey Island series, but she's often disappearing too, and is barely written. Honestly, there's not a lot of good reason why she even puts up with the main character in the Monkey Island series. Day of the Tentacle does have a interesting yet kind of parody crazy teenage girl, and I wouldn't bother to say any of the characters in Maniac Mansion are well written. Yeah, I can't think of a single LucasArts game where a female character is well written. And so clearly you have to just assume that they can't write women. Now, in the time frame that this was released, were women ever really well written in video games? No, not really. In any form of entertainment? No, not really. There is clearly a top-down sexism that existed, and even to this day somewhat exists, although in 2021 it often seems like they have swung to the other side, and they are now bending over backwards to have stories only about females, and to the point where it strains credibility, where you have entire teams of 20 females working together with not a single male in the room or anywhere within a mile of the room. But yeah, because people like George Lucas would have been in charge, and he would have been old, and he would have been definitely in the Hollywood mentality that was all run by men, there literally would have not been a young ally to feminism in any sense in the executive level of developing anything. So even if a writer did propose, hey, let's write more scenes of this character, of Sophia, they would almost certainly have shot it down and said that they don't feel like the player could relate. And clearly the idea of video games were, even at this point, being sold exclusively to boys and men, which, yeah. So, yeah, there's just a shame there. So, if you were going to remake this game, you would merge the 3 paths.
I'll send you a postcard.
Let's actually
So
play
long,
the
Indy.
game. You would merge the path. Let's see, they say it's the fist path. And you would have her show up as often as possible. And just be, even if you're not going to write Sophia or give her anything to do, put her in the background. It would be easy enough for her to be in a fight. Be easy enough to throw a to have her throw a punch and back up Indy. We saw that on the submarine even in this game, is that as Indy distracted the guy, she grabbed the pail and hit somebody. See, what's weird here is,
Hey there.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to accomplish here.
Can you tell me where to find Monsieur Trottier?
Particularly if this was the first
Who
path
wants to know?
that you went with. Let's see. Just call me Jones.
I'm Dr. Indiana Jones of Barnett College. Jones.
So the trick is you don't want to piss them off
Yes, of course, the famous
by being
archaeologist.
rude, because we saw that didn't work in the previous timelines. So let's try to be humble.
Actually, I'm just a simple professor.
Hmm.
Oh, leave the modesty to me, sir. Alain Trottier. Amateur scholar, part-time poet, professional dreamer.
We may very well just rush through this whole scenario to get to action, because there's not really
What can you tell me about Atlantis?
there's not really an opportunity here to
depends.
have a fight
To prove you're worth dealing
or
with.
have any other kinds of action.
Answer me this.
And every kind of
When
action
were the many
that
freaks
you would
of nature
see
created?
in a movie, where each shot would have just been made bespoke and unique for that one shot of the movie, if you were going to have Indy swinging on his whip or jumping or running, like each one of those would have had to been custom cutscenes. The other thing you could certainly have done
In the last days of Atlantis.
is you could have had
Oh,
her
you're just
actually
guessing.
really
Bonsoir, monsieur.
You could have had Sophia actually have a psychic connection with him. I mean, it's not any weirder than Kingdom of the Crystal
Just a moment,
Skull
monsieur.
in retrospect.
Back again,
But then
Dr.
she
Jones.
could have
What now?
definitely psychically communicated with you. Or you could have had a dream sequence and not really explained it.
What can you tell me about Atlantis? Oh, that depends. To prove you're worth dealing with, answer me this.
So we have another
What
question.
material did the Atlanteans carve devices to search for orichalcum?
Let's see. Amber, I believe.
Amber. Yes, excellent. Obviously, you know Plato's lost dialogue well. Personally, I doubt I can help you, but my name is recognized among dealers in antiquity. Maybe my business card will be of some use to you.
So all you
And
did
now,
was
au revoir.
talk to him and get his business card.
It says A. Trottier, truly old antiques. While I was digging up Viking gravesites, she was secretly collecting pieces from Atlantis.
Yeah. See, and there's just nothing here. Like,
I better not go in. The wrong people might
you
be waiting
can't,
for me.
in this path, go in this way. You can't walk to the city streets.
Nothing interesting over here.
So this entire scene is just completely underused. And in fact, Monte Carlo is pretty underused anyways.
Driver to the airport.
So it would have clearly there was a mandate to have in every few minutes the ability to transport yourself from one place to another place. Honestly, in point and click adventures, that's kind of a bad idea. So Trottier could have been
It
walking
says
around
aerial views, one flight up.
just in this area. And you could have had most of the same encounter. Then you also wouldn't have had to pay the animator as much
It says
to
balloon ride closed for
animate
repairs.
Monte Carlo, because you wouldn't need it. There definitely would be room for merging these areas or expanding
there.
on these areas in a remake.
Ah, a prosperous American.
Which, yeah, you could expand on the areas and you can make every puzzle require 5 more actions. So you can't, you just don't have the item that you need. And that'd be an interesting way to remake a point and click adventure game. For instance, like the beggar in the previous timeline in the team path wanted squab on the stick. If to get squab on the stick in a remake, I had to go beat up somebody in a like backstreet bare knuckle brawl fight and win the prize money, and then with the prize money I was able to purchase an item from the shopkeeper to trade with the grocer. But then I have to also talk to the grocer and convince him some more before he'll even trade with me. And you throw a puzzle in there in the middle too, so that there is one action, one team talking puzzle, and one wits puzzle, all having to be done to solve one puzzle that feels very familiar but still gets solved in a different way. You could easily, in a lot of point and click adventures, simply move the location of where something is found, because like a lot of those broken sword point and clicks and other point and clicks, you just click somewhere, you pixel hunt, and you find that item. If all of a sudden that item is not there in a remake and it's in a different place, that totally changes things. Also, if you could randomize it where an item is, that would add some replayability, although arguably if you were going to remake a point-and-click adventure game, you probably don't need to go look for replayability, and instead just one better, longer, better fleshed out story. Let's go through all the
You
dialogue.
ever hear of Atlantis, old man?
I don't want to burn through this game
Atlantis.
crazily, but
No.
some of these dialogues obviously are just going to be the same thing.
You know where Omar Al-Jabbar lives?
Omar is one of my best customers. Alas, his address is known to few men.
What are you doing here on the streets?
I'm a beggar, Effendi. It is my job to be here. Now, let me get back to work, please.
See, and in none of the past do you do anything with the citizens here.
I
So
don't want to disturb
clearly,
them. They look kind of busy.
that could have been something that would have been something at some point. It would have been perfectly easy if in every path you had to have the business card to prove you were worth doing business with, versus this path where you just don't do anything else. Here we have him already wearing the red fez, which is interesting because doing this path pretty much tells you the solution to the other paths, but it has been kind of working out that way, that every path holds a hint to another path. There's this visual novel called the Nonary Games. It's a trilogy. The first game is 9 Doors, 9 Hours, 9 Lives, or something like that, just shortened to 999. The second game I've covered already is called Virtue's Last Reward, and I haven't covered the third game. But in those two series of visual novels, they have branching realities, and in finishing or going as far as you can in one branching reality, you get a hint as to how to go further in a different branching reality, which kind of forces you to play far too many branching realities and play far too much repetitive content in the Nonary games. And it's a visual novel, so just like all visual novels, it's way too much dialogue. That's why I'm much more of a fan of point-and-click adventure games than I am visual novels, particularly since most point-and-click adventure games, after a certain point, after about Fate of Atlantis, did have voice acting in them, whereas visual novels, even made and released today, very often don't. So yeah, I find that weird that you would have to run around and
It says drink Elliot's rosewater in Arabic.
you'd have to run around and play each path potentially because you might be stuck. And clearly there was a fear that people were getting stuck in this game, because it also came with a book of hints, which seems weird too. I'm fairly certain it came with a book of hints. Alright, let's talk to the
Excuse me.
storekeeper, Paula
How can I
Abdul.
help you, Indy?
Are you Omar?
You mean Mr. Al-Jabbar? That is an also good one, Effendi. I'm his trusted servant, Paul Abdul.
I'm looking for Atlantis.
And it
Good
seems
luck.
like we're just kind of rushing through all of this.
Can you arrange a meeting with Mr. Al-Jabbar?
I suppose I could, Effendi, but my master rarely deals with clients in person. Why should I bother him?
And see, it would be so easy to merge the needing to put a fez on this character first in the puzzle wits path, and then following him around, and merge the fighting path solution, which is just going to be to hand him the business card.
I've got something to sell.
Doesn't everyone? You'll have to give me a better reason than that.
So it's telling you directly, just give him the thing.
Excuse me.
Yes?
And look how little
this may interest you.
items we have in this path.
Ah, the business card of Monsieur Trottier. That's different. Perhaps Mr. Al-Jabbar will desire to speak with you. Wait here until I get back.
Yeah. Practically, though, you just don't want to even play a point-and-click adventure game if you're going down the fighting path. It's kind of just that simple. Alright. What you want to be kind of careful of is to not click on the market. And see, he doesn't spot you or anything, so you're just doing repetitive content here. Whereas if this was truly the fist pass, you would think you would just beat up the guy and
The servant's ducking into that
him.
house.
Now we can see how that randomized into a different location.
Impatient.
If only I was a couple inches taller.
What do you know about Atlantis?
So here we have
You've come to the wrong place.
a
Tell me more or die.
here you
Not
have
for all the
a,
riches in the world.
I can't move it.
Time is running out.
a Nazi, which
Not
clearly
for
you
all
could
the
have
fish in the sea.
in the puzzle path also had a Nazi guy show up.
I'm getting impatient.
Not for all the sand in the desert.
What do you know about Atlantis?
Doesn't seem to close.
Use whip with.
Never.
See, what's
Time is
funny is
running
there's
out.
just kind of no
Once they
interaction.
Achtung!
Whoops.
So you stand on the creek.
So, Dr. Jones, you fell right into my trap.
And I almost died there, so I sucker
Thank you for
punched him.
saving me from that infidel. What's your name?
Indiana
And
Jones.
see, this time he's going to be nice to
Really?
you
The famous archaeologist. What brings
instead
you to
of
North Africa?
him
I heard you know something about Atlantis.
not
I'm
helping
looking
you
for it.
and you having to trap him in the closet.
Take my advice, doctor, and give up. There are men who will kill to stop you.
And see, if your very first fight ends with with a Nazi
You talking
ends up
about Klaus
requiring a sucker punch,
You
they
know the
pretty
man, I
much
see.
all are going
He
to
forced
require
me
the
to
sucker
reveal the
punch.
source of my Atlantean artifacts.
And I
Me
don't
and
think
this
that
team are
has
out in
really
the
too
desert,
much to
turning a
do
modest
with the
discovery of mine
emulation
into a major
Scumbium
dig. They
doing
seem
it
to have
wrong.
found an
The,
outpost of the
if I
Lost
recall
Kingdom, and they're
correctly,
stealing my treasure.
unless you were actually using the number pad to move backwards and forward and kind of dodge, the boxing always kind of sucked in Indiana Jones games. And it didn't work, certainly in The Last Crusade either.
What were they doing here?
The dig site isn't enough to sate their greed. They want more. Now, since you saved my life, here's the map and a camel to speed you on your way.
So it would
Meanwhile,
be
Paul and I must alert the authorities.
so easy for you to...
Wait, what map? Which camel?
It would be so easy for you to potentially trap
Nothing here.
Omar Al-Jabbar, or Omar, whatever his last name is, in the closet, and then have the Nazi come through the door, then have to fight the Nazi, then be at this same point that you're in with the puzzle path.
Just a piece of bamboo.
Remember, in the team path, this is just kind of not even a thing you do, so you would probably want to just
I don't need any laundry. It's just laundry.
interesting. It is not in the laundry. So that's weird. Where would the map be?
It's a flimsy bamboo stick.
See, let's go ahead and close the closet.
Doesn't seem to close.
Hmm.
I can't move it. It's a sliding door with a latch.
Hmm.
I can't move it.
And see, this column here should totally be missing, so you could see through it. It would be easy enough to in the team path have Sophia just stand on the side and just do nothing while you trap Omar in the closet, and then have her run in this direction when the Nazi attacks. Or even, you know, have the Nazi be a real Nazi and just straight up like smack her.
It's a pot hanging by a thread.
Interesting. Hanging crockery.
I don't think that'll work.
Alright. Pick up.
I can't pick that up.
crockery. Use the whip. With the
I
hanging
don't think I should do
crockery.
that.
Use the bamboo stick.
I don't think that'll
with the
work.
hanging crockery.
It's a pot hanging by a thread.
Hanging cloth. Maybe I have to
It's just laundry.
Maybe I was just clicking on the wrong thing. Yeah. Yep. I was totally just clicking
Oh,
on
the
the wrong
stick
thing.
broke, but I got the map.
And see, we'll have no idea as far as whether we're getting all the points or not, since it's still glitched. Use the
I don't think that'll
blackbird
work.
statue. So yeah, you don't do anything with the hanging crockery at this moment, but almost certainly I missed a gag there where this guy was standing under the hanging crockery, and I could have whipped it and knocked it on his head, which could have been an alternate solution and a width path that makes sense. Yeah, honestly, there is no reason
The only mark on this map is
to
one
have
big X.
the three middle sections separated out. It was just laziness. Clearly, they had three different people making the middle sections, and they didn't want to do a single meeting. I mean, honestly, it might have taken 3 or 4 days of just getting together and saying, hey, let's just merge these concepts. Now we have cars instead of camels chasing after me, and so if I get stopped by any of them, that'll just be a fight with a Nazi.
It looks like a map.
So go ahead and just give the cloth map to the nomad and get an idea. We should probably run into one Nazi just for the fun of it, and we'll just suck.
What do you make of this map?
This X is to the south and to the east.
Thanks for the information.
These sections exactly the same, and ideally, if you were gonna make a more modern version of this game, you would have them have to travel to each nomad station and have it would be an important interaction of some sort. Each of these characters would be kind of an important character.
What do you make of
We
this
had
map?
pathfinding there, as you can see.
You are very close to the site. This X is a little to the south and slightly to the east.
Thanks for the
And
information.
is there any difference between a little to the south versus slightly to the east? Or are those the same distances? A little to the south is much further than slightly to the east.
Get back.
Right,
You
so,
have no business out here. I'm taking you back to the city.
let's see.
Let's talk this over like civilized human beings.
Let's not.
And
You
we'll
should have
just
gone with Sophia.
sucker punched him. And knows that the line of
Looks like I
dialogue
lost those
pretty
guys.
much says that you potentially should have teamed up with Sophia if you were just gonna sucker punch him, or I assume that's what that response is.
It's the
And
stuff
then
dreams are made
There's
of.
just like no
The
reason
cheap
to really
soapstone carving.
have these two items to bribe the Camelback desert guards. Well, it would have been easy enough to have both types of characters.
Look what I found. An abandoned dig site.
And you'd think if you were really going to make a fist path, you would get into this area and it wouldn't be
There's a plug
as
missing.
as abandoned. And yet it is still. The table's missing. It wouldn't really have affected anything further to always have been a table. And
Yipe!
Hmm.
Somebody's shooting at me.
in this case, you have a rope ladder. And clearly that's leading up to some kind of zeppelin.
Yipe!
Okay.
Yipe!
So we are blocked.
The carburetor's been ripped out. This thing will never run again. That's where the gas is.
I can only assume that I just kind of have to sneak my way around this direction. Even though the pathfinding was trying to walk me into the bullet line of fire. Alright, well, let's see. We've got the metal cap. We'll
It feels
open
like a gas cap.
the gas cap.
Now it's open.
Pick up a blunt wood thing. Pick up a clay thing.
There's a coppery bead in here.
Now we've got an orichalcum bead, which easily you shouldn't be able to find that in the dark. And we're looking for the long snake-like tube, which we had seen before. And I'm not seeing it, so I don't know how I'd fill the thing.
This feels like a wall.
So do we not even need gas in the thing? Maybe. Let's see. Touch the little metal thing.
Feels like an on-off switch.
Again, they say on-off switch. Yeah. So in this case, you don't even need to get the gas. Like, which, yeah, you're gonna just burn through the game extremely quickly on the fist path. So much so that you potentially could, without even changing anything, have it where Indiana Jones is given a vision when Sophia is reading his fortune. It makes you play through the fist path, and that is super easy, and just like an hour at most of content for that middle section. And then you just hear Sophia speaking your name, going, Indy, Indy, can you hear me? And then it flashes back. Well, it doesn't flash back. It rewinds time back to Indy and having his fortune telling again. And this time, you can't choose the fist path. Next, you have to do the wits path and solve the puzzles. And some of the things you saw in the wits path you would have been given little hints while doing the fist path. And then once again have it reset, and then you could have Indiana Jones go, not again. And then the true path would have been to play it all the way through with Sophia. And in that alone, that would allow a scenario where you're spending the most amount of your time with Sophia closest towards the end of your gameplays. And it would thematically certainly make it a lot more sense that Sophia is important to the story, because she kind of is, even though they haven't really emphasized that.
Is that a ball these figures are tossing around, or a stone disc? Well now, here's something the Nazis missed.
So we've got a stone disc.
It's a spark plug.
Let's go ahead and pick up the ship rib. And yeah, had the game just forced everybody to play it kind of the way I'm playing it, playing the game right, kind of how I'm playing it, where I'm jumping back to it.
There's a mural behind this crumbling rock.
You wouldn't have to change anything, and it would still be more obvious that you are supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to play the game multiple times. I imagine there are some people that definitely only played it once and were either satisfied enough that they wouldn't bother to try to play it anymore, or they just didn't even know.
The shape painted under the sunstone. It's the island of Crete. I'll bet that's where I'll find Atlantis, or one of the colonies.
Yeah. And oops. This time we can't take the peg, but we definitely can take the stone disc.
Aha! Judging by the placement of the stone on this mural, I should head for Crete.
Kind of interesting that there's 2 lines of dialogue there. By default, you kind of know that there's just no good reason to leave Sophia out of the story. It is just a bad idea, because you don't have...
It's too heavy to pick up.
You don't have anybody to bounce your conversation off with, or have a talk with anybody. And see, I'm picking up the spark plug, but there's a very large possibility that I'm going to end up somewhere different.
Halt! Do you realize what you've done? You've dug an unauthorized hole.
Let's see.
I couldn't help it. The roof fell in.
Colonel Kerner is away on reconnaissance. If I were you, I'd think up a better story than that before he gets back.
Let's see. Okay. And seems like
Out or I'll shoot.
we're gonna have to fight him. And we don't really have anything, so let's just see if the whip with the gun-toting Nazi
While you're
works.
standing there, let me show you a magic trick I learned.
You'll be sorry you did that, Americana.
And we can suppose try. The problem is you need sucker punch time.
Too bad he doesn't have anything worth taking.
You need to walk back and dodge or block, and you just can't do that with the mouse button. The right click, the left click, neither one of those does that. It's interesting that they say too bad he doesn't have anything worth taking, because it does also feel like there would be something more to this. Let's walk to the rope ladder and see what's up here.
Hey, there's a balloon up there.
So it seems like you could use the car, or we could just use the rope ladder and go up to the balloon. Take your pick. It doesn't seem like it matters. They've just thrown it in there as a thing.
Must be an updraft here.
I don't get the idea, though. As to why I would want to use the balloon to get out of here instead of just using the car. Notice that we can't land at the dig site, though. So the question we should ask is, can we very slowly land at a nomad camp? Let's see. And if we were to like try and give a statue to the nomad, what will that do for us? Again, the pathfinding.
Here you go, my man.
I have no need for such material trifles.
Well, at least we heard a new line of dialogue.
Hello there.
Salam, Effendi.
Can you point out the way to Crete?
Could you point out the way to Crete?
Find the sea, Effendi.
So we're just going to the sea. Interesting. Or we can use the cloth map and maybe...
What do you make of this map?
Mark the map again.
You are very close to the site. This X is a little to the south and slightly to the east.
Thanks for the information.
We don't have a carburetor, though. So getting all these items very possibly wouldn't have started the car anyways. Which honestly makes more of an argument that the car either should have just not been there in this instance, or you just do something different with it. Like, I think logically, if you were to merge the three scenes together, which I'm still gonna look at it from that perspective because that's really what I think you would want to do here, is you would very much have, it would make sense to have the car puzzle and leave by car. The balloon puzzle we've seen in 3 different places, so we would need to decide which one does it make the most sense to use with?
Crete, here I come.
And so, yeah, he just floats his way all the way to Crete in a balloon, which would probably never work. And you have this funny zigzagging path in which he's following the coastline, which makes sense. Like, it would make the most sense to have to do the puzzle path where you build the balloon and then use the balloon from that second lesser colony, which we only see in the Wits path at all. And then I guess
You'll
you
never fly again.
land on the submarine, because using it to land at the dig site or to land at the land on Crete is not as interesting. So yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. And landing on the submarine from the lesser colony could easily be written so that it plays that way. We may very well find, once again, that there's nothing to this sequence on the fist path, which you actually should be able to tell fairly easily, because there won't be a surveyor's tool, or the thing will already be collected. So yeah, once again, it would make a lot of sense that some of these rooms randomly would just have a Nazi in it, and you would have to beat him up. And maybe by beating them up, you get a few more points or currency. Currency may very well not play any real role, but it worked in the Last Crusade because you could bribe your way through a lot of checkpoints. Although the Last Crusade kind of sucked because it had a large collection of checkpoints, and it's nice that Fate of Atlantis doesn't have that. Even though that was an element in the movie, it was an element that got repeated a lot more. But yeah, it wouldn't hurt to potentially have Sophia tied up in one of these rooms, and then you're looking for her to save her, and then that could get you back together. And I would have to think about the points where Sophia would disappear and reappear in the story, but she definitely could have played a role in the story. And her getting kidnapped a couple times would not be too crazy.
It's an ancient diagram of some kind. There's a bull's head, horns, and tail. The lines appear to converge on that circle. Could the circle be one of the stone...
Interesting. Extra dialogue I just skipped. Now, I could have sworn that there was a surveyor's tool that you get a second time, but whatever. I guess we'll have to just look at stones and try and find out if any of them are loose.
It's a pile of rubble. The stones look loose. There's a statue here.
Alright, so we use the surveyor's tools on the fallen statue, and then try and find the bull's head statue. This time we don't have
I see
Sophia.
the left horn.
So apparently that was wrong. They wanted the right horn.
I see the right horn.
even if there was just one fight in one room, that would still be fine by me. And certainly, if this was a point where you reconnected
the
with
stones looked loose.
with Sophia, then you could have made this a team path, a team puzzle by you needing
There's a
her help
statue
to
here.
push the stones, or needing her help to stand where you tell her to, based on what you see by the surveyor tool. Or maybe she has the surveyor tool and hands it to you when you save her.
I see the left horn.
I don't even think you have to be particularly that precise. There's
Hello,
multiple
what's
places.
This? I'm not going to lug that around anymore.
Alright.
This is where the
And
survey
obviously
lines
this has
triangulate.
been randomized. Pick up the X marks the
I
spot.
have to find something to dig a hole with.
And then the ship rib is the only thing you've got.
Hey, there's a stone disc down here. It's got a hole in the middle and little moons carved into the surface. It must be one of the moonstones Plato wrote about.
And the fact that the lesser colony doesn't actually lead to you getting a stone disc is not really a problem storyline wise. It would make sense that you would end up in some places and they would turn out to be mostly dead ends, and they may just get you like an orichalcum bead or something like that. You could easily have had orichalcum be more of the currency in this game, and thus you would have maybe had some machines that would point out where to go next, and have it be somewhat of a spiritual journey to reach Atlantis, where they're stringing you along and not just directly telling you should go to Crete. See, and in this scenario, the submarine is not here, which you would think it would be here for the fist path, but it's not. And in an effort just to save time, we will go ahead and do everything. Let's see. New moon. I think it's full moon.
What do you know? A secret door.
And again, this would be a great point for the Nazi to walk out of it.
You're trespassing on occupied territory. I've got orders not to let anyone pass.
I'm a secret agent in disguise, let me pass. I've got message for Colonel Kerner, let me pass. On my way, sauerkraut.
I'm a secret agent in disguise. Let me pass.
We've already got one Americano working for us. That's about all we can stand.
And see.
An American working for you? Who's that?
Dr. Fräulein Hopgood, that's who. She's a hellish vixen, but when coaxed, she can be very useful.
Oh yeah? Try coaxing me.
With pleasure.
So your power regenerates fairly quickly until it stops doing that. Oops. Klaus dragged Indy into labyrinths where someday somebody will find his bones. Uh-oh. And see, this is a problem because in the actual game, there's like no autosave or anything. However, thank goodness there is an autosave. But it hasn't been autosaving. Okay. So, yeah. One mistake is all it took. Alright. So the only place I can do is, unless this image is wrong, it isn't. The only thing I can do is now I'm going to have to play through the game a second time. It took us about an hour, so instead of making you watch that, I'm just going to pause the recording and unpause it at specific point of interest, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I'll be right
Deep
back.
into my eyes.
Okay, I'm back. So I've decided to save the game, and this time we are at this point
tell you anything,
where I'd like to see if the whip knocks this guy out. Yes, it does.
Thank you for saving me from that infidel. What's your name?
Indiana Jones.
So then that puts you in the
Really?
same
The famous
position.
archaeologist. What brings you to North Africa?
I heard you know something about Atlantis. I'm looking for it.
So yeah, clearly in the
Take
development
my
of
advice,
this,
doctor, and give up.
they-
There are men who will kill to stop you.
they programmed it so the action path itself
Let me worry about them.
is still
Gladly,
kind of
Betty.
puzzle.
Watch out
Puzzle
especially
game.
for Klaus Kerner. He and his team are out in the desert, turning a modest discovery of mine into a major dig. They seem to have found an outpost of the Lost Kingdom, and they're stealing my treasures.
There's not anything different here, so I think
Let me tackle them for you.
we will probably just record,
And if you
pause
find
again.
Kerner, that spawn of the evil one, break his neck for me.
Because yeah, you don't really need to see me get the
Now,
map.
since you saved my
Use
life,
the map.
here's the map and a camel to speed you on your
And,
way.
all
Meanwhile, Paul
that.
and I
So
must
we'll
alert
be
the
back
authorities.
once again in just a
Wait, what
second.
map?
Okay, I'm back. So there is a couple of things that now that we're back to where we want to be that I want to mention. Like, one, you can't use the truck in the fist path. The dashboard has been ripped out. You can put the spark plug in the car. I don't know if that gets you any IQ points or not. It seems to me like you don't get any IQ points for beating up anybody. Maybe you got some IQ points for using the whip. You definitely have to use the whip to stop the guy with the gun. You can't just fight him. And while the mule randomized on Crete, the location of the loose stones did not randomize. There are about 3 quips if you get caught in the desert before you make it to the dig site that you can make before you fight. And is there anything else to mention? No, I don't think so. So clearly there's a point here where they wanted
You're
you to
trespassing on occupied territory. I've got
they wanted
orders
to
not
try
let
and make
anyone
it
pass.
as difficult as possible to end up dying and having to start all over again. But clearly that is not the right response.
I've got a message for Colonel Kerner. Let me pass.
I don't think you can talk your way through these
I'll deliver
fights.
it myself. What's the message?
Go tell Kerner that there's an idiot guarding the door. Go tell Kerner I'm willing to guide him to Atlantis.
Go tell Kerner I'm willing to guide him to Atlantis.
We've already got one Americano working for us.
See, he tells
That's
us
about all we can stand.
that Sophie has been kidnapped in this scenario.
Let me pass. That other guy doesn't know beans.
That other guy is Dr. Fräulein Hopgood, mein Herr.
She's the double-crosser I came to warn Kerner about.
Bitte, in order to pass, you must show me your papers.
They're right here in my fist.
See, it just forces you into a fight. So yeah, I'm at 169 points. I did get 10 points for finding the stone disc, the moonstone. So it does indicate that there is more than 1 point you get for doing certain things. Also, I think it's interesting to point out that when I found the mural, an Indiana Jones sound effect music piece played, but it didn't give me any IQ points, and it would make a lot of sense to only get that audio feedback that you've accomplished something and have that intertwine with your experience as far as the IQ points.
The legend of a labyrinth hidden under the ruins of Knossos is true. The legend of Atlantis isn't any
now,
more
unfortunately,
far-fetched.
we're going to have to go a little long here because I'd like to end this episode,
the last stone disc and Atlantis
which was about
waiting for me
1 hour
that door.
in total for the Fist Path. Playing it twice has barely been an hour and a half.
I can't pick that up.
You mean you can't pick up the statue head? And I bet there isn't too much of a variety here. Like the dungeon, the maze will be different certainly, but notice how he automatically picks up the thing. It'll be randomized somewhat, although maybe not that much, because every time we've done this, that has always been to the left. So that may not be randomized at all. And let's see. We are looking for the Minotaur first, and there we found it. And I imagine we will just be back to the comb on the string. Clearly, in a modern version of this game, you would have...
It's an elevator.
You would have auto-saving happening every couple of minutes, every couple of actions. Honestly, you'd probably just have auto-saving when you walk through every single door. In this case, you're not getting that third stone, so that's slightly different.
Wait, that was my ride.
See, that looks like that might be something, but it isn't.
It says...
I am convinced the map room lies beyond the chasm I couldn't cross. If only I weren't trapped down here.
Too bad. He came a long way.
I guess what they didn't want to do, and it does make sense, is they didn't want to have it randomized.
It appears the elevator crushed at least one stone disc.
They probably didn't want to have randomized events happen to the point where you maybe miss things.
It's a narrow crawl space.
And I
How nice.
feel like...
Wait, there's a chain running up behind the waterfall. It must be holding the elevator's counterweight.
You probably just leave one of the solutions, two of the solutions on the cutting room floor, and like ideally you wouldn't ever have the comb and the scarf because that doesn't make any sense. You would always have the amber fish or calcum detector. You would always have the stick. You don't really need the world stone because even finding 2 items in one scene does is quite a reward for a point-and-click adventure game. You could even have had the walking stick somewhere else, in just like a random room.
I hate getting wet.
You use the whip to remove the head every single time. Here you have a door.
There's a massive stone slab blocking the way. Sure is heavy.
So you just have a doorway, unless there's a switch or something that opens that doorway. And we'll have to determine whether or not we've been everywhere. this direction. Over here. It would have made a lot of sense for, if you were going to merge the 3 paths, for the Nazi guard to have come out and there be multiple Nazi guards, and one would kidnap Sophia and drag her away into this maze area, and then you would have to run through the maze to try and save her. And like, you don't want to do too much on the damsel in distress trope, but it works with Indiana Jones kind of well. So her getting kidnapped 3 or 4 times over the course of what could have been a 20-hour game wouldn't be that crazy. Again, it's definitely in line with the other Indiana Jones movies where somebody gets kidnapped, or the female lead gets kidnapped. So almost certainly this is also just going to have us fall downward. And I guess for sanity's sake, we'll confirm that.
That hurts.
So there definitely feels like there are either some pre-rendered decisions on this maze that are always the same, or maybe I'd have to exit out and start a whole new game to get some things to change. There really is no reason to ever believe in this story that Sophia is willingly betraying you, whereas that is much more believable. And we kind of know in this pattern that you have to go up to the right and use this staff to remove this chalk.
There, the counterweight is free.
Or choke. I don't know how you pronounce that really. That element is not really necessary. You would expect in the fighting section that there would be just more things to fight, even if it wasn't Nazis. You could have spiced this up and had the
going up
monstrous half-human, half animal creatures could have been wandering around here, or you could have been fighting rats or snakes or anything at all.
There's an orichalcum bead underneath it. I'll take that too.
Notice this time there's only 2 orichalcum beads in your inventory.
The orichalcum is now in the box.
Like, so we are now looking for the gap. In fact, we may not have even needed the gold box at all. Because you don't even have an orichalcum detector. So you're in this weird position where the game is both not more challenging as far as puzzles on the fifth path, but then it is more challenging on just the fact that if you lose a fight, you will.
Here I go again.
You will get your. You'll have to start back to whatever save. You could easily program an autosave to save every 5 rooms or so.
And there it goes again.
Let's see, let's walk this way.
It's a narrow crawl space. It's too high to reach.
And see, he doesn't become any more athletic just because you're on the fist path. In fact, the solution here, if I'm recalling correctly, is kind of pathetic because we are just looking for a room that has a hook in the wall that we're going to whip swing on, just so that we have that classic Indiana Jones sequence when 2/3 of the players potentially are not going to have that classic Indiana Jones sequence.
Did I hear it groan in protest?
Oh, wow.
Did it move a little bit? Or is it my imagination?
You just had to push it.
Fall over. Bingo.
You just had to push it multiple times, which you haven't had to do that with anything other action. And see, there's a stone.
I wonder if that thing is anchored securely.
And clearly this scene should have been in both sequences. And so if you're going to have that scene, you probably don't want him having to hold Sophia while swinging, or so you probably would want her kidnapped before this point and then rescued after this point, or you could have had Sophia also whip swing and him tossing the whip over. See, over here
necklace.
we have a slab and something very different. And so, since this is all new content, which clearly it would have made more sense to me that there should have been more content. This content should have been available in each of the paths. Let's see. Walk to cavern. Walk to cavern. There's nothing here. And I feel like we are going to just end up beating up somebody and getting an orichalcum detector off of them. Which I guess that makes sense. Right.
It's a standing stone. It's a standing stone.
Talk to...
Strange necklace. What's that?
Uh-oh.
So we're going to walk behind here. And then we're going to push the slab on him.
Scratch one Nazi.
And they all have names. At least, or they're all called hands.
He's got nothing I can use.
And see, the only way you would have really even known
This one won't move. It's sunk into the ground.
That was the goal, was because they forced you to learn that you pushed the door open.
Shouldn't you be with the other foreign advisor? And where's Hans?
And so we can...
Other foreign advisor?
See if we can get some information
that
out of
obnoxious
her.
Hapgood woman. How do I know you're really part of Kerner's expedition?
You don't.
And see, this would be kind of a point to potentially... it is a good thing that you're refilling your health in between this. Like, this would have been a point where you could have offered the sandwich or offered some other items in your inventory. Notice some of the items that were in my inventory just disappeared. The statues, for instance, are gone now. Let's see what happens when we look at this.
While I was digging up Viking gravesites, she was secretly collecting pieces from Atlantis.
Yeah, his opinions on her don't really change enough for that to be an important element. And if this path has more use for these rooms, doesn't it make more sense for them always to exist? Particularly since you know that the sucker punch element here makes it so you can just win no matter what. In
Hey,
fact, you
you!
could have easily just had the game
No civilians allowed in here.
Now wait a minute.
prompt. You could have just had it pop up a prompt right before you're about to die and say, would you like to sucker punch, or just not let you die at all. Like,
Keep up the good work.
see, I want to see if maybe I can knock that guy out by doing
Hey,
something
you!
else.
No civilians allowed in here.
Now wait a minute. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, knocking that guy out doesn't seem like that really does anything. Boy, do I
What
resent
are you
the
doing
idea of Hans sent me, Franz sent me, Hans and Franz sent me.
Hans and Franz sent me.
You expect me to believe that?
Believe this.
And that's Carl.
Nothing useful here.
Come forward, you. Explain yourself, won't be quick.
See, I suspect that these holes are not are not anything.
I'm looking for Sophia Hapgood.
If it were up to me, you could have her. She's nothing but trouble. But orders are orders.
He's got nothing I can use.
Let's see if this just circles around. Alright, so here we have a guy where we can use the whip with the hanging column of rock.
I don't think that'll work.
Or I guess not use the whip, just push it. And see, that would have
Phew,
stabbed
a Stone Age
him
weapon for a Stone Age guy.
and killed him. So yeah, that's cool and all, but these holes indicate that there should be another way. And for the like wits path or anything like that, you could have, or the team path, you could have devised a way to scare the Nazis away, and
Hey,
drain them
you!
out.
No civilians allowed in here.
I guess there's no way
Now wait a minute.
to avoid this,
Your shoelace is untied.
Where?
or do it more
Wait, these boots don't have any lasers.
intelligent way of solving this. Like, none of these characters really have. That's Otto.
Nothing useful here.
And none of these characters really have that much hitting power, and yet they still manage to potentially kill me if I'm not careful. Even trying to do the sucker punch often fails. This is Anton.
He's got nothing I can use.
It would have made more sense if a couple of these characters had actually been in the other areas. Right, so
B545, I smell American blood.
that guy is probably the most difficult guy, like in
Then I
Indiana
go
Jones.
wandering among some mountains high. Godima's Igitur.
You know, I can't put my finger on it, but this boulder looks vaguely familiar.
Alright, let's go ahead and push the
It's too
boulder.
heavy. I need some leverage.
Or use the ship rib with the boulder.
I'll just lever this thing over the edge and... Oh no, the ship rib broke. Looks like I'm trapped.
Godima's Igitur. B545,
yeah,
I
I've-
smell American blood.
The doorway is blocked.
Like, I imagine they intentionally made it this way.
Then I go wandering among some mountains, putting on it. You there, Americana. Come and see. I won't
So this
hurt
is
you.
definitely the same type scenario. Let's go ahead and save.
No.
But in this case, I'm going to save back here just in case I have already done
Any
something.
good drinking tunes?
Maybe. Let me think.
Let's see.
99 bottles of beer on the wall?
Try this.
Hey, that's a good one. I'll be on your way.
So he doesn't fight you because I suggested a drinking tune. And so then I think we get to push it.
The doorway is blocked. That boulder is wedged into the doorway.
Let's see if we can push the
It's too
boulder.
heavy to push.
Godimas Igitur. B545. I smell American blood. Yo-lo-lo-lo-lo.
I think I need to go back and get that
I don't think that'll work.
stalactite. But yeah.
Sure is heavy.
Yep.
Godimas
see,
Igitur.
That really should have been painted in blood. As gory as that would be, that would have it visually stand out so that you know that that is an item you need.
B545.
Well, that shattered my rock wedge. But it worked.
So yeah, this puzzle's easier to figure out than
Ouch.
Last Crusade's version of this, where you had to get him drunk by stealing a trophy and filling it with alcohol before you even had a chance to win in a fight. And this is Arnold, clearly a reference to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's, I believe,
There's an
Austrian.
amber fish on a string in his pocket. He also had a couple of orichalcum beads. I'll put them in the box too.
So yeah, he does have the...
Come on, door, move!
He does have the
Well.
detector.
Either Atlantis is a lot smaller than I thought, or I've found some kind of map or scale model. Laid out just as Plato described it, in 3 concentric circles.
And so one time we came in from a hole digger, time we came in from the left side, and now one time we're coming in from the right side. Do I have all the stones I need? I don't think I do. We'll see if this works.
That didn't do anything.
Yep. So we'll go and see if we can use the orichalcum detector.
It's not pointing anywhere.
And in this case, it very well may just be pointing towards Sophia.
It's not pointing anywhere.
Alright, well. Back we go. I'm going to go ahead and skip this room because I'm fairly certain it's not. I'm fairly certain in this instance it's going to point
That's funny,
downward
it's pointing downward.
to a hole they just threw Sophia down. Let's see. Look at the pit now.
It's too dark to see anything down there.
Talk to the pit.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
And see, I think that's the
Rubber
same
baby
in
buggy
Mac's
bumpers.
reference. Interesting.
Echo? Echo!
But apparently, if you pick the wrong thing, you won't get a response.
Anybody home? Home.
Which, honestly, any of those should get a
Hey,
response.
down there.
Indy, is that you? I was asleep.
So her just being asleep. You know, Sophia, this is no place for a woman. Now, that's a line of dialogue that should have been left on the cutting room floor, certainly.
Sophia, what are you doing down there?
What do you think, you moron? I'm a prisoner. Get me out!
I'll see what I can do.
So, can we use the whip with the pit? Apparently we can.
Thanks.
I guess you finally got on Kerner's nerves, huh?
I don't want to talk about it, but look what I found down there.
It's the World Stone Sternhardt nabbed in Tikal.
Very good, Doctor.
And I suppose they had to write the story that way, that so you couldn't use the World Stone potentially and leave Sophia. Although a more modern game, it might be interesting to have that as an option where Sophia gets left behind and then the Nazis just take her to Atlantis, because certainly you're going to knock into the Nazis in Atlantis once again. Otherwise, Atlantis would have to be more interesting with a new bad guy, and it's too late in the game to introduce new bad guys. A more modern game, a non-point-and-click adventure game, certainly you would have just randomly generating rats or something that you would be fighting in this whole maze. Let's see. And this never changes. Which makes it convenient. So take note the items we have right now. We have 3 bits of orichalcum, some kind of orichalcum detector, the gum, which you basically have no matter what in the game. I think you basically have to have it. The map, the clay jar, a spark plug, the whip, the archaeology, and the lost dialogue of Plato. Let's go ahead and pick up, and the discs, of course. And that's probably the most minimalist collection of items you could have collected for the fifth path, and that probably does indicate that there's a lot of items that either aren't needed in Atlantis or are just there are redundant solutions. And yep, this time it's just a stone pointer.
Sophia, take a look at this.
According to the inscription, the arrow on this pedestal is pointing north towards the lesser colony of Atlantis.
The nearest landmass up north is a volcanic island called Thera.
Well then, that's our next stop.
Oh, so we are going to the lesser colony in this
Let's
path,
move on.
which is weird, because you kind of would have expected that to not be the case. Because you definitely don't go to Thera in the team path. And now that I see this
Here we
boat,
are, Thera.
I
The
recognize
whole island is the rim of an extinct volcano.
that
There's a
there
Greek scholar named
is
Marinathos who claims the place
more
exploded
to
in
the
1600
game
BC and
than
wiped
I
out
thought.
civilization all over the Mediterranean.
So now is a good time. Wait, let's let him end the
Like Krakatoa.
conversation first.
Exactly, only bigger. Maybe it wiped out Atlantis as well.
It's useless to speculate. What's our plan?
Let's see. Plan? I don't have a plan.
Plan? I don't have a plan.
Come on, Jones, we need one.
And see, now you're back to kind of a team path sequence that didn't even happen in the sequence,
We could talk to the
in
locals.
the team path branch.
That's a good idea.
So, alright, let's go ahead and make another safety save. Clearly, we need to do that. And it will, I think, be fairly obvious how we could have merged Thera's in the Wits path with Thera in the Fist path and added it to the team path. Yeah. They just want to kind of move things around, and it's really, it doesn't feel very much like it's randomized or changed if it is just slightly in a different order. And you are unlikely to really appreciate that the lesser colony happens after the greater colony on the Fist path, when this potentially could have been your third playthrough of the game, in which you would have done all of the first path, first act, and all of the last act. And we very well may speed run through each of the last acts on the different paths just for fun, but I imagine it won't change too much. We're at 259 points also, if that matters to anyone. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.